Hi there, it's Carol with Carol B Crafts. Today I have part 2 of my Cauldron Bubble Twist and Pop-Up card. Now in part 1 I show you how to put everything together, and in part 2, this video, I give you the supplies and dimensions that you need and show you how to make this mechanism for the pop-up. You can also check out my website www.carolbcrafts.com and search Cauldron Bubble and bring up the list of supplies and dimensions. While you're there, check out my current classes and club kits so that you can participate in my next class. So let's get started. So I'm going to go over the supplies that you need for the card, but I'll also put the dimensions and things on my website, www.carolbcrafts.com. Just search Cauldron Bubble. Okay, so the first thing you'll need is your card base, which is 4 1/4 by 11. It's the top folding card. Scored at 5 1/2 and folded. Then for your cardstock, you're going to need this. We have 3 by 2 5/8, and then we have 4 pieces of 2 1/4 square, 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. That's 4 pieces, and then a 5th largest oval from the layering oval framelits. The 5th largest. You would count down 5 from the largest, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which would be this one right here. Okay, so that's the 5th largest from our layering ovals framelits. In our pumpkin pie, you'll need the 3rd largest scallop square, and that's from our layering squares framelits. That's these framelits like right here, and I do the same. I start with the largest and I count down, so it's the 3rd largest. And at the end I'll also show you how to do this mechanism, but for the mechanism you'll need a piece that's 8 1/2 by 10 3/4, 8 1/2 by 10 3/4, and then I'll show you how to do the mechanism last. In your gorgeous grape, which is another color I've fallen in love with, you will need a piece that's 11 by 2 3/4, and you will score that. You'll score it at let me get my notes. You'll score it at 2 3/4 and 8 1/4, and then you'll flip it over and you'll score it at 5 1/2. Okay, and that's for our little mechanism. And then you'll need another piece of gorgeous grape, 3 1/8 by 2 3/4. Another piece of gorgeous grape, 3 1/2 by 4 1/2, and I have run this through the subtle folder, and I've done it portrait so that the lines go this way. This is the 4th largest oval in the layering oval framelits. So that's our gorgeous grape. In your Whisper White, you have, running out of room here. In your Whisper White, you're going to have a piece of Whisper White. Starts out at 3 3/4 by 11, and then we'll trim it. I'll show you how to trim that at the last part. Once we do the mechanism, I'll show you how to do that. You'll have a piece of Whisper White, 3 1/4 by 4. That's going to be for our front image here. Actually, no, that's for your ghost. You're going to stamp your ghosts onto this and then die cut it out. So that's what that's for. So you might not need a piece as big as this, but that's what I have. Now for the witch, this is Whisper White, and it's the 2nd largest oval. But you could start out with a piece of paper like this, stamp your witch, and then cut it out. If you, I did it this way because of the class. But if you have the ovals at home, you can do it. Just make sure you can fit everything inside the oval. When you stamp it, make sure everything's going to fit inside your ovals. So that's the second largest oval. These are from the Pretty Label Punch. You only need one. I always give two in the class. And then this is a label from the Petals and More Thinlits. This little label right here. But if you had another label, or you could just cut a flag, a little like piece that's flagged on both ends if you didn't have the label. And again, you only need the one. I give you two. Okay, so this is the part that would be kind of hard to explain if you just looked at the dimensions on my blog. Now I have a piece of, let me see, what's that? Black 3/8 inch glitter ribbon, which is really pretty glittery ribbon. It's 6 inches. Piece of that. This is the Faceted Dots. This is actually Blackberry Bliss, but it goes well enough. There's 1 large and 2 medium of the Faceted Dots, Blackberry Bliss. And then this is the foil, black foil paper. I've left the insides in, but that's actually, I cut a spider web. I do a 3 by 3 inch piece, and you can actually get 2 out of a 3 by 3 inch piece, and that's for the spider web here. If you don't have the foil, black foil paper, you could always use just black cardstock too. It won't shine, but it'll still work. Now that is from the black foil paper. Now also from the black foil paper is the bats. I love these bats. If you don't have them, you need to get them. And it comes as a bundle. This is like our bat punch. And then it comes as a bundle with Spooky Sweets right now in the 2018 holiday catalog. And I don't know if it's going to be retired or not. And that's another reason why, you know, at the end of the holiday season they retire things. They might retire these, and then you'll be so sad you didn't get them. Really sad. So anyway, you need a 3 by 3 inch piece of either black cardstock or the shiny foil. It cuts 3. I actually use 2 in this project, and I use 1 in a later project. I use it in this project here, so it doesn't go to waste. So if you cut 3, save that one bat, and you can use it later in this project. For the DSP, this is the kind of like Highland Heather Gorgeous Grape stripes. It's 4 by 5 1/4, 4 by 5 1/4 Gorgeous Grape stripes. The stars with the black background, it has bats on the back. They're squares, 2 1/8 by 2 1/8, so you need 4 of those. Now this is the part that I have to show you because you probably won't know otherwise. I had to get a piece that was missing. Okay, so this, and this come from the Toil and Trouble DSP. All of this comes from the Toil and Trouble DSP. So you can see there's spiders. You can see there's this line. That's where I get this. You can see this. That's where I get this. So what you would want to do is you would want to cut first your stripes out like that. Just cut, you know, it's about a 1/16 of an inch from the edges of the colors. And then it would be 3 3/4 by 3/4, roughly 3 3/4 by 3/4. So you could get 3 out of this strip, and you need 1 per card. The next thing I did is I cut what was left after I cut that. I cut a piece of 2 7/8 this way by 2 1/2 that way. Let me make sure I'm telling you right. Yeah, 2 7/8 across by 2 1/2. And I just kind of figured it out, you know, measured so that the cattail and the cauldron weren't too close to the edges. So 2 7/8 by 2 1/2. And then the spider is, I punched out with a 1/2 inch punch, the 1/2 inch punch. And I just picked one that I could get out. So I could do like 1, 2, 3, 4. So you could cut out as many of those little spiders from the top row there. The bottom row is going to have their little feet cut off. So you would want to do from the top row. So that's where I got that. So those are those 3 things from this one page of DSP. And the hat I got from the hat DSP, and I used the hat framelit from the framelits. So see these darling framelits? There's the hat. But you could fussy cut that if you didn't have the framelits. You will need to have the spider web for this, to cut your spider web for the front. There's a spider web here, and there's a spider web here, a gray spider web. There's our little spider, there's our hat, there's our ghost, there's our bats. I didn't tell you about the mandarin mango melody. Mango melody. So this is the inside of the card here. And so let me get you the dimensions of that mango melody circle. So there's a couple of other pieces of cardstock that I didn't tell you. Mango melody circle is 2-inch circle punch, or see, I wrote it here. It's either that or the... So the mango melody is a 2-inch circle punch, or the 5th largest layering circle die. You could use either one of those. I use the circle punch because when I make a class kit, I have to make so many. When I can use a punch, I do, because it's so much easier. And then you have some gray granite. This is the largest scalloped oval in the layering ovals framelits. And then this piece is 4 1/4 by 3 1/2, and you will need that to do your spider web. I believe that's what you need that for. Yep, your spider web. Okay, so you probably won't need a piece this big. Oh no, yeah, this is for your spider web. You might not need a piece that big, but I just wanted to give you plenty of wiggle room. Okay, so that's everything you need in the way of materials. So now I will show you how to do the mechanism. So now we have our 8 1/2 by 10 3/4 piece of pumpkin pie, but you could use whatever color you're going to use. We're going to score it landscape at 5 3/8. And then we're going to turn it portrait, and we're going to score it at 4 1/4, but we're going to start about 1/4 inch from the top of the cardstock. We're not going to start at the top, and then we're going to go all the way down and stop 1/4 inch shy. That's just a line to help us line up. We're not actually going to fold on that line. That's just a little help guide for us. So now you're going to, on your 5 3/8 line, you're going to find the valley or the little trench and fold away from you, and you're going to crease that fold with a bone folder. Then you're going to measure from the fold 1 inch with the pencil and make a pencil mark. So 1 2 3 4, there's an inch there, and 1 2 3 4, there's an inch there. So that's my marks. I have 1 inch and 1 inch. The next thing I'm going to do is cut, and you'll need your Stampin' Trimmer or something with a blade that will allow you to measure your cuts precisely. So I'm going to open this up with the fold down, not that it really matters, but and I'm going to find 2 1/4. So I have it at 2 1/4, and I'm going to cut down to 4 1/8. So I can find that here on my So when I cut down to 4 1/8, my little pointer thing right there is going to be on 4 1/8. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it to the other side, the other end, and find 2 1/4. Make sure that it's straight. And I'm going to cut down again to 4 1/8. My little arrow is on the 4 1/8. Okay, now I'm going to flip it over so that I can cut this corner. Same thing, 2 1/4. Make sure it's even down here. 4 1/8. And then flip it around to this corner that hasn't been cut to 2 1/4, and then cut it at down to 4 1/8. So every one of these corners have been cut down to 4 1/8 when you're done. Then you're going to fold it back to find your fold. Fold it back in half. We're done with our cutter. And this is where your 1-inch mark comes in handy. So get your scissors and you're going to cut from that 1-inch mark to where you started cutting, or actually where you ended cutting, right here. So find that and then cut only to the mark where this cut stops. Same thing on the other side. Find your mark, cut to where that cut stops, and that's what you end up with. So the next thing we want to do is open it up like this, and this can be a little tricky. I like to use a bone folder. So what we're basically going to do is take this side and fold it up to match, so that this line matches this line. And so that I get a nice sharp corner there, I'm going to put this, hold this in the corner there, so that I can bring this up and match it. And when I've matched it, I can go ahead and press down and make sure that's matched correctly. You can tell if your corner is in the right place by looking down here. And so once I'm happy with it, I'm going to crease that. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. This time we're going to put our bone folder there, bring this side up to match that side. And when you're happy with it, you're just going to press it down and crease it with your bone folder. And now you push these two things up like that. Those two go up. These don't get folded. Now you have your mechanism. So once you have your mechanism, you want to go ahead and make sure that everything meets up perfectly here at the, as much as possible, and then down here on the sides as well. And if you have a little overhang, you'll want to trim that. So that your sides are even. You might want to do a better job than that. So now you have your mechanism. So to do your pieces of white paper that's going to go on the inside, like here, I'll show you how you're going to do that. So you'll need your piece that's 3 3/4 by 1, and this is going to go on the inside, and so it's not going to, so you'll have 1/8 of an inch on both sides, and you're going to want to make sure that you have 1/4 of an inch down at the bottom. So it'll be somewhat like this. You can just eyeball it or you can measure it, and then when you're happy with it, you're going to flip it over and take your pencil and you're going to mark, and then you're going to cut where you marked. And it should fit in there like this. If it doesn't look good that way, then you might want to turn it this way and it will fit better. And if you need to erase any pencil marks, you can do that. So then you'll do the same for the other side. You will find it an eighth of an inch on both sides, 1/4 of an inch at the bottom. Flip it over. Measure with, mark it with your pencil, and then of course you'll just cut it again along that line. And then you have your 2 pieces. So thank you for watching. Thank you for taking my class. Check out my website, www.carolbcrafts.com, for my current classes and club offerings. Thanks for watching. Bye now.